you are all doing well. So today's video is going to be a little different. We're just going to share some of our stories with you. So specifically we are going to tell stories about pranks we've been a part of.
Yes. Now, I have many pranks that I have been a part of because I pranked a lot of people throughout my life. And I will actually separate most of these out of this video to do a whole other video just me talking about them, because there's a lot and they're all really good, and some of them I can't talk about in front of Amy because it'll make her feel weird. So
yes, because I have the exact opposite experience. I do not like pranks. I do not understand pranks. I do not think pranks are funny. I feel like pranks are just an excuse to be mean to someone, and they're not supposed to get mad at you. And so we had
a prank, I suppose.
We had these because I just don't get it. And earlier in our marriage, we had this discussion, and so like we used to have a joke of like, if we would do something like a little bit mean, you know, like if I would walk around and like Eric is trying to drink and I would like tickle him or something, I'd be like, prank, can't get mad at me. Can't get mad at me, it's a prank, because I don't understand pranks. Yeah. It's just not funny to me.
That's fine.
But okay, let me tell my one prank story, which I still feel guilty about to this day. So I was in junior high, and we had like, my school, we were really like, it was a small school. It was a private school, kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. And like the teachers all knew each other, like everybody was friends. It was just a really small and close school. And so some people were, I think it was the junior high pastor, because our school and our church were connected together. So our junior high pastor and then our 7th grade math teacher were friends, and I think they were doing their own kind of prank war on each other, and they got us kids roped in. And so, and I just happened to be standing with this, and so the junior high pastor at one day at lunch, when me and a bunch of my friends were just sitting having lunch, was like, girls, come over here. And so, and we're like, what? Okay. And so he was like, okay, we're going to saran wrap and toilet paper the math teacher's car. And I was not okay with it. But he was, and I was like, this is not very nice, we're going to get in trouble. And he was like, no, it's fine. And so we did it, and it was not fun, and I felt nervous the entire time, and I didn't like it. I tried very hard to understand, but I still don't understand. But the math teacher wasn't mad, you know, it was just, like, he was fine. But that's just it. I saran wrap / toilet paper a teacher's car because my junior high pastor made us.
Well,
that's it. It's not a great story, and I didn't like it, and I didn't have fun.
Well, I have a lot of stories, but we'll stick with the theme here of saran wrapping cars. So when my friend was in college, he went to SPU, and I lived
Seattle Pacific University
up in Washington. And I lived in a house with 5 other SPU students that he like was friends with, that I met, and then like they needed a roommate, and so I, you know, ended up living with them. Anyways, that doesn't matter. That has nothing to do with this prank. I'm just setting up. So basically, like, I would hang out all the time around these SPU kids, and I wasn't going to college. I was just working full time. And so one night towards the end of the school year, there was this guy that we sort of knew, but we didn't know him that well. It was like an acquaintance that we knew. I called him Tom Brady Jr. because he looked kind of like Tom Brady would, like a super young Tom Brady. And so he was a nice guy. He wasn't like a terrible person or anything. We just sort of chose him to be our victim in this situation because we figured, like, well, we don't really know him that well. We know that he probably won't get mad at what we do, but we figured like he would be confused about who would do it, and so it would take him a while to figure it out. And so we got some saran wrap, and we went down to his car because we knew what car he had, and we started saran wrapping his car. Well, unfortunately, right at that moment, an SPU security officer was driving by, and he stopped and he pulled out his flashlight. He's like, "What are you guys doing?" you know, and we're like, oh, we're just saran wrapping our friend's car as a joke. And, you know, he then he's like, well, you know, I need to see IDs or whatever. And our friend Greg, he pulled out his student ID and gave it to him and was like, you know, we're pranking, and told who we're pranking. And I was like, why did you do that? So,
is that a newbie mistake for pranks?
Yeah, I don't know.
I would ruin every prank I'm a part of. I know it.
Would.
I would be no fun.
So anyway, so the security officer like leaves, and then so we're continuing to saran wrap. And if you know anything about saran wrapping a car, it takes forever to do because you're like going under and over and under and over a bunch of times and like having to scoot anyways.
And saran wrap is not like, it's not easy to like get off.
It's almost like you're pranking yourself because it takes so long to do. So we're like in the process of doing this, and we were probably half done. We'd done the front section and then like part of the middle, and bursts out through the side door. It's this dude, and he comes running over towards his car. And
Tom Brady Jr.
Tom Brady Jr. I don't remember what his name is. I don't think I remember what his name was back then, which is why I probably called him Tom Brady Jr.
Oh my gosh, Eric.
I know, it's terrible. But so he comes running out, and he just stops dead in his tracks, and he looks at us, and it's like the best reaction I've ever heard for a prank. He's like, you guys, why? And it was like the most like genuine like confusion I've ever heard, and it made us laugh so hard. It was funny because we like threw the stuff down and started running away, because even though he totally saw us and was like, and then we turned around and came back. And
was he mad?
No, he thought it was funny. I mean, we talked to him and we were like, we figured you wouldn't know who did it, and he's like, yeah, I would never have known, but the security guy called him.
Well, good.
And so like told him like, yeah, there's people out there pranking your car, and so he came out. Anyways, that's not the end of the story. So this is where it gets really good. So this guy, he wanted to get back at us, and so he didn't know where I lived, and Greg lived in.
Was that one of the other persons?
So it was me, Brian, and Greg. It was these three guys, me, Brian, and Greg. And Greg lived in an apartment off campus, but it's like a locked building, so it was really hard to get in there. And so and he didn't have a car, so there's not really a way to prank Greg. Brian lived in a house just down the street and had a car, and basically like was prime targeting for pranking. And so basically what happened throughout the course of the next month was this guy, Tom Brady Jr., like got one of Brian's mutual friends to help him prank Brian. And I thought it was funny because like majority of the pranks that I've ever done, I've never been retaliated on, because it was always Brian.
Unbelievable.
It was almost always Brian that got it, not me. And so like, anyways, so over the course of the next month, there was like multiple things that happened, but I'll just give you the super short versions. So basically what happened was, he got an email with a bunch of pictures of a bunch of stuff saying
Brian got the email?
Yeah, Brian got the email saying, I'm gonna leave out one part because it's really terrible, but he got an email with pictures of all this stuff, and it was like, if you ever want to see this stuff again, you know, like,
was it stuff that was in his car?
Yeah, I'll get there.
Oh, sorry.
No.
Sorry.
So he got these pictures, and he was like, I don't even know what this is, I'm just gonna ignore it. And so like a month later, this guy comes over with the girl that pranked and said like, hey, we stole this stuff as a prank for you. It's all this stuff from your car. And Brian's like, what car did you steal from? And they're like, there was like a Jeep in the backyard that we took all this stuff from. It was unlocked. We figured it was, because it was, so they had like, their house had a front like driveway, but then the back side of the house had this alleyway that you could drive up, and there was multiple parking spots where pretty much everybody parked in the back because it was just way easier, including his neighbors. And so it was a green Jeep with a Colorado license plate, and it was his neighbors across the street from the alley that they had broken into and stolen everything from as ransom for Brian to get it back because of this prank situation. There's a couple things that happened in between, but they're kind of inappropriate, so I'm not going to talk about them. But so Brian mostly ignored this because he's like, I don't know, this isn't my stuff, whatever. And so when they
oh my
when they brought it over to him, he was like, this is not any of our stuff, and you stole stuff from my neighbor. And so he ended up emailing the guy.
Tom Brady Jr. emailed, or Brian?
Brian ended up emailing the guy who they stole, because
the neighbor,
because they're all SPU students and they knew each other. And so he emailed, and the guy was like, I moved back to Colorado because I graduated. You can keep all of my stuff. It was a tennis racket. It was a really expensive soft shell, like RAI jacket, and like all this other just stuff that you end up throwing away because it was just whatever. But like, he still to the day, he still has that jacket. He wears it all the time.
Brian or Tom Brady Jr.?
Brian has the jacket, and he still wears it to this day. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he totally scored in this prank war.
Yeah, he scored in the prank war because this poor guy who was a victim of us pranking him ended up going and breaking into someone's car, stealing a bunch of stuff from it, and then giving it to Brian. So he ended up richer because we saran wrapped some random dude's car.
That is kind of... well, that guy obviously didn't care, or else he would be like, please mail me my stuff.
Yeah, he's like, I'm in Colorado. I mean, he didn't notice, obviously, that his stuff been stolen from his car, so, but it's just really funny to me that he still wears that jacket.
That's crazy, because it's been probably like 15 years or something like that.
Well, this happened in like 2007.
Okay, so whatever.
It's been 13 years,
okay.
But yes.
That's funny.
Pretty wild.
Yes.
Prank wars.
Yeah, so
I have a lot more.
That's a teaser.
That's a teaser. I have
he has tons
of them, and they're all really good. There's actually a couple I can't talk about in front of her because they're involving something she does on a regular basis.
Food and stuff, which I cannot deal with as a pregnant woman. Can't deal with food talk.
So anyways, so
he's going to have a separate video.
I will talk about all of the pranks that are my favorite pranks. It'll probably be long-winded because there's a lot of setup and story.
You could always break it up into multiple, like favorite pranks part 1, favorite pranks part 2. So
maybe I'll also try to condense everything and not go down rabbit trails.
He loves telling these stories. Though.
These stories
it's
are
his
hilarious.
favorite thing.
They're so funny.
I
have some of them on tape that I'm really trying to figure out how to get onto digital, and then maybe at some point I could share one of them.
Oh my god!
It's horrifying and awesome at the same time. So
please stop.
Okay.
We previewed this enough. So anyway, let us know. Are you more like, do you understand pranks? I just don't. Sometimes I feel like there's something wrong with my sense of humor in multiple areas. I just don't get it.
That's fine. A lot of people don't.
Yeah. But you love it.
I love them, and I've never made anybody cry, or like we've never been overtly mean.
That should not be.
This dude was the only dude that we ever pranked that like
you weren't really good friends
with and didn't really know that well. He just randomly. I mean, there's a whole backstory about how it was really had to do with a girl, and like Greg, his future wife, but at the time they weren't even dating, and like this guy was hitting on her, and it was like, let's prank this guy, he's bothering me, kind of a thing. But
I wonder if prank is a dude thing. If you guys like pranks.
Prank's not a dude thing, because one of the stories I have.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's not a dude thing.
There's a girl who dominated me in a prank war, and I just couldn't do anything about it. She had the upper hand the entire time, and I have no idea what happened.
That's true.
It made me really sad. So.
Alright, I think this is enough for this video. So, tons more to come, not from me. Because I am no fun Amy. But that's okay.
Alright, well thanks for joining us today. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, give us a thumbs up. And if you want to hear more story times from us, we have a lot of them. And we can do more of them because...
they don't revolve food or cooking, which I cannot do.
Yep, so... Thanks for joining us today, and we will catch you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.